The annual Maxwell family dinner was in full swing when my brother James decided to announce his latest achievement. I sat quietly at the far end of the mahogany dining table, picking at my mother's overcooked roast while he commanded everyone's attention. "The Shanghai deal is finally closed," he declared, straightening his Italian silk tie. "Maxwell Pharmaceuticals is now the exclusive supplier for their entire hospital network." My father beamed with pride, raising his crystal wine glass. "That's my boy. Always thinking big, just like a Maxwell should." I could feel their eyes flicking toward me, the disappointment, the unspoken comparison. While James was closing million-dollar pharmaceutical deals, I was supposedly playing farmer on Grandpa's old land. Speaking of business, my sister Victoria chimed in, her voice dripping with false concern. "How's your gardening going, Sarah?" The way she said gardening made it sound like I was tending to a window box of petunias rather than running a 200-acre research farm. "It's going well," I said simply, knowing anything more detailed would be met with glazed eyes and dismissive nods. "Still growing those weird plants?" James smirked. "What were they called again? The ones that looked like mutant corn." "They're specialized hybrid crops," I corrected, though I knew he didn't care about the details. "And yes, the research is progressing exactly as planned." My mother sighed dramatically, setting down her fork. "Darling, when are you going to stop this foolishness? You have a degree from Stanford. You could be working with your brother at Maxwell Pharmaceuticals, making real money instead of whatever this is." I thought about the revolutionary breakthrough waiting in my greenhouse, about the patents pending and the major agricultural companies already sniffing around. But I kept quiet. They'd find out soon enough. "Mom's right," Victoria added. "It's been 3 years since you took over Grandpa's farm. What do you have to show for it? A bunch of dirt and some failed experiments?" Failed experiments. If they only knew that what they called failures were actually carefully documented steps towards something that would change agriculture forever. But I'd learned long ago not to waste my breath trying to explain my work to people who'd already decided it was worthless. "I'm happy with my choices," I said quietly, taking a sip of water. My father shook his head, his disappointment evident. "Sarah, you're 32 years old. It's time to grow up and join the real business world. Maxwell Pharmaceuticals has a position open in the research department." James could put in a word. "No thank you," I interrupted firmly. "I have my own research to focus on." James laughed. "Research? Is that what you call playing in the dirt? Come on, Sarah. You're a Maxwell. We're meant for bigger things than farming." The irony of his statement almost made me smile. He had no idea that while he was negotiating his precious Shanghai deal, I was finalizing documentation for a discovery that would revolutionize food production globally. Actually, I started, then stopped myself. No, let them mock. Let them dismiss. In a few weeks, they'd understand exactly what I've been working on all these years. My mother reached across the table to pat my hand patronizingly. "We just want what's best for you, darling. That farm was Grandpa's hobby, but you can't waste your whole life there." Grandpa's hobby. They'd never understood him either. Theodore Maxwell had been the black sheep of his generation too, walking away from the family pharmaceutical business to pursue his passion for agricultural research. Everyone thought he was crazy, until he developed a drought-resistant wheat strain that earned millions in patent royalties. But even that success was dismissed as a fluke by the family. They sold off his patents after his death, keeping only the old farmland because it wasn't worth enough to bother selling. When he left it to me in his will, along with his research notes, they thought it was a final joke from the family eccentric. "You know," Victoria said, smoothing her designer dress, "I have a friend in real estate. That land would make an excellent location for a luxury housing development. I could introduce you." "The farm isn't for sale." I cut her off, my voice sharper than intended. "Don't be stubborn," James scolded. "You're sitting on valuable property, wasting it on failed experiments when you could." "Excuse me," I stood up abruptly. "I need to check on my greenhouse. Time-sensitive research." "At this hour," my mother protested. "Sarah, don't be rude. We're having a family dinner." But I was already heading for the door, glad I'd driven my own car instead of accepting their offer to send a driver. I needed to get back to the farm anyway. The latest test results would be ready, and I had a video call scheduled with the patent attorneys. "Sarah," my father's voice boomed after me, "this conversation isn't finished. I paused at the door, looking back at their faces, the disappointment, the condescension, the absolute certainty that they knew better than me. "You're right," I said quietly. "It's not finished, but it will be soon." The drive back to the farm took 40 minutes, during which my phone buzzed repeatedly with messages from my family. I ignored them all. Let them think I was having an emotional reaction to their intervention. Let them believe I was hiding from their hard truths. The reality was far different. I had work to do, revolutionary work that would make their pharmaceutical deals look like corner store transactions. As I turned onto the private road leading to the farm, I felt the tension from dinner falling away. This was my domain, my life's work, hidden behind carefully maintained appearances of rural simplicity. The old farmhouse where I lived was modest, deliberately kept that way to maintain the image my family expected, but the massive greenhouse complex behind it was anything but modest. State-of-the-art climate control systems, advanced genetic sequencing equipment, and sophisticated monitoring technology filled the sprawling structure. I parked next to the house and walked to the biometric security panel hidden beside the greenhouse door. The family thought I was growing simple crops. They had no idea that what grew inside was worth more than Maxwell Pharmaceuticals' entire research division. Inside, bathed in the soft purple glow of specialized growing lights, rows of plants stretched into the distance. But these weren't ordinary crops. Each plant represented years of research, countless failed attempts, and finally, success. Dr. Chen, my lead researcher, looked up from his tablet as I entered. "Sarah, the latest results just came in. You're going to want to see this." I smiled, already forgetting my family's cutting remarks as I immersed myself in real work. "Show me." He pulled up a complex graph on the main monitor. "The genetic modifications are stable through 5 generations now. And look at these yield numbers. 300% increase over standard crops, with 60% less water consumption." I studied the data carefully. We'd done it. After 3 years of research, countless setbacks, and more failures than I could count, we created something revolutionary. A crop that could grow in almost any soil, resist most common diseases, and produce triple the yield of conventional plants while using a fraction of the resources. "The patent applications?" I asked, though I already knew they were perfect. I'd reviewed them personally a dozen times. "Filed this morning," Dr. Chen confirmed. And Sarah, Archer Agricultural, called again. "They're offering $5 billion for exclusive rights." I shook my head. "They can keep calling. This isn't about money. It's about changing the world." He nodded, understanding as always. Dr. Chen had been the first person to believe in my vision, leaving a prestigious position at a major agricultural corporation to join my hobby farm. He'd seen the potential in my ideas when everyone else thought I was wasting my time. "The invitations went out today," he said, handing me a thick envelope. "The International Agricultural Innovation Conference is in 2 weeks. We're scheduled for the keynote presentation." I opened the envelope, running my fingers over the embossed text. In 2 weeks, we would reveal our breakthrough to the world. Every major agricultural company, research institution, and food production corporation would be there, including, I noted with satisfaction, several members of the Maxwell Pharmaceuticals board of directors. My phone buzzed again. Another message from James. "Stop being childish and come back. We're trying to help you." I set the phone aside without responding and walked down the rows of plants, touching their leaves gently. Each one represented a potential solution to global food shortages, a way to grow crops in regions devastated by climate change, a chance to revolutionize agriculture itself. My family thought I was wasting my time with plants. They thought I was hiding from the real business world on Grandpa's old farm. In 2 weeks, they would discover just how wrong they were. But first, there was work to do. I spent the next several hours in the laboratory section of the greenhouse complex, reviewing test results and finalizing presentation materials for the conference. Around midnight, Dr. Chen finally went home. But I stayed, losing myself in the work I loved. The next morning, my sister Victoria's voicemail greeted me. "Sarah, you're being ridiculous. Mom and Dad are just trying to help. Call them back." Instead, I called my patent attorneys. "Is everything ready for the conference announcement?" "All set," my lawyer confirmed. "The patents are ironclad, the trademarks are registered, and the preliminary contracts with test facilities are signed. When you make the announcement, everything will be legally protected." Good. I ended the call and walked back into the greenhouse, where the morning sun was creating rainbows through the specialized glass panels. My family thought this was just dirt and plants. They had no idea that what grew here would soon be worth billions, not just in money, but in its potential to change the world. I thought about Grandpa, about the days I'd spent here as a child, learning from him while the rest of the family dismissed his work as a hobby. He'd seen something in me, the same passion for discovery, the same drive to create something meaningful. They'll understand soon enough, I whispered to his memory, touching one of the specialized growing containers he'd designed. You were right all along. The next 2 weeks passed in a blur of preparation. My family's calls and messages gradually tapered off, probably assuming I was sulking. They had no idea I was methodically preparing to show them exactly what playing in the dirt could achieve. The night before the conference, I stood in my greenhouse one last time, looking at the fruits of years of labor. Tomorrow, everything would change. Tomorrow, the world would understand what we created here. And my family? They would finally learn what their failed daughter had really been doing all these years. I smiled in the purple glow of the growing lights. Sometimes the best revenge isn't proving people wrong, it's proving yourself right. The International Agricultural Innovation Conference was held at the Grand Plaza Hotel, its marble floor convention center packed with the world's leading agricultural scientists, corporate executives, and media representatives. I stood backstage, watching on a monitor as Dr. Chen made the opening remarks of our presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, he said, his voice steady, what you're about to see will change agriculture as we know it. My phone buzzed. Another text from James. Saw your name in the conference schedule. Giving a talk about your little garden? How cute. I smiled, slipping the phone back into my pocket. In 10 minutes, that condescension would turn to shock. As I waited for my cue, I caught a glimpse of familiar faces in the audience. The entire Maxwell Pharmaceuticals board was there, including my father, probably more interested in networking than my presentation. Victoria sat next to him, tapping away on her phone with obvious boredom. Even my mother had come, though she was clearly more interested in showing off her new designer outfit than watching the stage. Perfect. Let them be dismissive. Let them be bored. It would make the revelation all the sweeter. Dr. Chen's voice cut through my thoughts. And now, I'd like to introduce the mind behind this breakthrough, Dr. Sarah Maxwell. I walked onto the stage, dressed not in the shabby clothes my family was used to seeing, but in a perfectly tailored suit that cost more than James's car. The lights were bright, but I could still see my family's faces. My father had finally looked up from his phone, frowning slightly as if trying to reconcile this polished presenter with his failed daughter. 3 years ago, I began, my voice carrying clearly through the packed auditorium. I set out to solve what many considered an impossible problem: creating a crop that could thrive in any environment while producing unprecedented yields. The next 30 minutes were a detailed presentation of our research. I explained the genetic modifications, the revolutionary growing techniques, the extensive testing. With each slide, each graph, each piece of data, I could see the audience leaning forward, their expressions changing from polite interest to intense focus. The implications are clear, I continued, clicking to the next slide. A single acre planted with max grow crops can produce the equivalent of 3 acres of traditional plants, while using 60% less water and requiring minimal pesticides. A murmur ran through the crowd. In the front row, the CEO of Archer Agricultural, who had offered us $5 billion for the patents, was furiously whispering to his board members. But the real breakthrough, I said, isn't just in the yield. These plants can grow in environments previously considered hostile to agriculture. Desert soil, cold climates, even areas with high soil toxicity. I clicked to a video showing time-lapse footage of our test fields. The audience gasped as they watched our modified crops flourishing in various extreme conditions. Current market projections. I continued, value the Maxwell technology at approximately $20 billion. But this isn't about money. This is about changing the world. In the audience, my father's face had gone pale. James was frantically Googling on his phone, probably trying to verify the numbers I was quoting. Victoria had stopped pretending to be bored and was staring at the screen with her mouth slightly open. We've already established partnerships with major agricultural organizations in 12 countries, I announced. Testing facilities are operational in 4 continents. The patents are secured, the trials are successful, and we're ready to begin global implementation. The room erupted in applause. In the front row, representatives from every major agricultural company were already pulling out their phones, likely calling their offices to discuss acquisition offers. As I opened the floor for questions, hands shot up everywhere. But the first person I called on wasn't a corporate executive or a scientist. It was my father. "Miss Maxwell," he said, his voice slightly shaky, "are you saying that all this was developed at the farm?" I smiled. "Yes, Dad, that's exactly what I'm saying. Turns out playing in the dirt can be quite profitable." The next hour was a blur of technical questions, market projections, and partnership inquiries. Through it all, I maintained my professional composure, even as I watched my family's worldview crumbling in real time. After the presentation, the conference hall turned into a mob scene. Every major agricultural company in the world wanted to talk to me. Reporters pushed forward with questions. Scientists asked for detailed technical specifications. I made my way through the crowd to where my family stood, still looking shell-shocked. $20 billion? James whispered. That's impossible. Actually, I corrected him, that was a conservative estimate. The latest valuations put it closer to 30 billion, especially with the Asian markets showing interest. Victoria clutched her designer purse like a lifeline. But you were just farming. We saw your greenhouse. It looked so simple. I laughed. You saw what I wanted you to see. The real research facility is underground. Those weird plants you mocked, they're about to revolutionize global agriculture. My father stepped forward, his face a complex mixture of emotions. Sarah, we didn't know. No, I agreed calmly, you didn't. You were all too busy feeling superior to actually look at what I was building. Darling, my mother cut in, her social training kicking in. This is wonderful. We must have a family dinner to celebrate. I'll call the country club. No, I held up my hand. I have a board meeting in an hour. Maxwell Technologies doesn't run itself. Maxwell Technologies, James repeated weakly. My company. I smiled. The one you could have been part of if you hadn't been so busy mocking my hobby farm. Speaking of which, I turned to my father. Those board members from Maxwell Pharmaceuticals, they're here to discuss a potential merger. Turns out pharmaceutical companies are very interested in agricultural biotechnology these days. The color drained from James's face. Victoria swayed slightly, probably calculating how many designer handbags she could have bought with even a small stake in my company. Now, if you'll excuse me, I said, checking my watch, I have actual business to attend to. Oh, and James, about that Shanghai deal you were so proud of. Maxwell just signed an exclusive contract with their agricultural ministry. Entire provinces will be using our technology, but I'm sure your hospital supply deal is nice too. I walked away, leaving them standing there amidst the chaos of reporters and executives all trying to get my attention. Dr. Chen met me at the door, grinning. That went well, he said. Though I think your family might need medical attention. They look a bit shocked. They'll survive. I straightened my jacket. Is everything ready for the board meeting? He nodded. The satellite feed is set up. Agricultural ministers from 12 countries are waiting to discuss implementation timelines. As we walked to the elevator, my phone buzzed again. A text from my mother. Darling, we are so proud of you. We always knew you would do great things. I deleted it without responding. Another message popped up, this one from Victoria. Sarah, I'd love to discuss investment opportunities. Maybe over lunch? Delete. James. Hey sis, about that research department position. I don't suppose you're hiring? Delete. The elevator doors opened onto the penthouse conference room level. Through the glass walls, I could see representatives from the world's largest agricultural companies waiting for me. On screens around the room, government officials and scientists from around the globe were ready to begin our first official board meeting. Dr. Maxwell, my assistant, appeared at my elbow. Archer Agricultural has raised their offer to $12 billion. They're hoping to discuss terms. I shook my head. Tell them what I told everyone else. Maxwell Technology isn't for sale. This isn't about money, it's about changing the world. She nodded and hurried off. Dr. Chen gave me a knowing look. And maybe about proving a point to your family? Maybe a little. I smiled. But mostly it's about fulfilling Grandpa's vision. He always said agriculture could change the world. Now we're going to prove him right. I walked into the conference room, taking my place at the head of the table. Around me, some of the most powerful people in agriculture waited for my direction. On the screens, government ministers and scientists looked to me for leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, I began. Let's talk about feeding the world. 3 months later, I stood in my greenhouse. The real one, not the decoy my family had seen. The underground facility stretched for acres, filled with rows of thriving Maxwell crops. Above ground, construction crews were building our new research center, a state-of-the-art facility that would make Maxwell Pharmaceuticals look like a corner drugstore. My phone buzzed, another dinner invitation from my mother. They'd been coming regularly since the conference, each one more desperate than the last. The family that had dismissed me for years now couldn't wait to celebrate my success. I deleted it without reading the full message. Dr. Maxwell, one of our researchers, approached with a tablet. The latest results from the African test sites are in. Crop yields are exceeding even our highest projections. I studied the data, smiling as I thought about what Grandpa would say if he could see this. His hobby farm had become the launching pad for a global agricultural revolution. My assistant appeared at my elbow. Your father is in the lobby again. He's asking about the Maxwell Pharmaceuticals merger proposal. Tell him what we told their board, I said, not looking up from the test results. We're not interested. Maxwell Technologies works better as an independent entity. She hesitated. He says it's not about business. He wants to apologize. I finally looked up. Through the greenhouse windows, I could see my father standing in the lobby, looking smaller somehow without his usual air of superiority. Tell him, I said after a moment, that I'm busy changing the world. He can make an appointment like everyone else. As my assistant hurried away, I walked down the rows of thriving plants, each one a testament to years of work, dedication, and belief in a vision no one else could see. My family had laughed at my little garden. Now they wanted to be part of my success. But I had learned something important in those years of dismissal and mockery. True success isn't about proving others wrong. It's about proving yourself right. I touched one of the plants gently, its leaves deep green and perfect. Somewhere, Grandpa was smiling. His black sheep granddaughter had taken his dream and turned it into a reality bigger than anyone could have imagined. We did it, Grandpa, I whispered. We really did it. The future stretched out before me, bright with possibility. Maxwell Technologies was already changing agriculture around the world. Our crops were growing in places where nothing had grown before. People who have faced food shortages were seeing hope for the first time. And my family? They were learning a valuable lesson. Sometimes the biggest successes grow from the seeds of rejection. Sometimes the person you dismiss today is the person who changes the world tomorrow. I straightened my jacket and headed toward the conference room. We had a board meeting in 10 minutes, representatives from 30 countries waiting to discuss implementation plans. My phone buzzed one last time. James again. Come on, sis. You can't ignore us forever. Family is family. I smiled as I deleted the message. He was right about one thing. Family is family, but sometimes the best family isn't the one you're born into. It's the one you build yourself, person by person, dream by dream, success by success. The plants swayed gently in the climate-controlled breeze, their leaves catching the light like tiny green stars. My revolution had begun, not with a bang or a shout, but with a seed planted in soil everyone else had dismissed as worthless. Just like me,